Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, AirspeedPrime here with my next channel update. And also, I suppose one of the main things in this video is going to be me asking you guys what you want a new video series on my channel to be. So, first of all, the channel update's very quick. It's just a kind of thank you for 1,700 subscribers. I just hit that on my channel. And, you know, I always like to note when, you know, something notable happens. I don't do it every single time I go up by 100, but you know, this time I did notice kind of how relatively quickly I went from 1,600 to 1,700, so that was really cool to see for my channel, which is still really small in the grand scheme of things. It's nowhere near being big as such, but just to see kind of that notable growth of 100 in a relatively short space of time was cool to see, and something I did want to note. So thanks for that, and hopefully my channel continues to grow. Now, as for the discussion in this video, I basically just want to do my usual channel update thing where I go through the various series that I'm doing at this point in time on my channel, give you guys an update about where I am with a lot of the stuff that I am covering, why maybe you aren't seeing as many videos for this or that, and the stuff that I want to do on my channel going forward. So the big thing that's happened recently is that I finished a very long running series on my channel, that being my Naruto manga read-through, Airspeed Reads Naruto. Now, of course, I do still have one video left to finish with that, and that is just the top 10 manga moments, which will be later this week, so look out for that, and that will just be a kind of wrap-up of that series. So with that out of the way, that's a very long regular series I had going on my channel, which basically leaves the spot for another video series on my channel. So I'll talk about that more towards the end of the video, but I'll do the update on my various video series right now. So Avatar, it's always going to be the main focus of my channel. That's why most of my visual stuff on my channel, my Avatar and all the detailed stuff, I describe myself as primarily an Avatar news and review channel that also happens to do some other stuff. And it's one of those things where I always say that I'm an Avatar YouTuber, though perhaps, you know, the amount of videos that I put out that are Avatar focused versus non-Avatar focused is very much kind of it doesn't seem like that a lot of the time. And for me, most of the time, the only thing I can say is just that there's not enough Avatar news that happens to really justify doing that much Avatar content. And what I mean by that is just that I can really only do discussion topics and be really excited for Avatar when I think there is stuff to be excited for. When there's just been months with no news and I've exhausted every single discussion topic, I just can't bring myself to come up with a new topic. It's not that they don't exist, it's just that when there's nothing of note happening in the fandom for this thing that I care about so much, it's really hard to bring myself to just almost force myself to talk about stuff. So that's why you often notice that when there is news, I cover it in depth. I do a lot of stuff on it. I'll do updates about stuff that happens if something happens the next day after I did a video. You'll see reviews when new content comes out. I'll do a text review or a video review, podcast review. You get all that sort of content. It's just that, especially where we are right now with Avatar comics completely up in the air with what's happening with the ATLA stuff, core comics, you know, at this stage, you know, we're still 6 weeks or so away. It's getting closer for sure, but it's just, if we didn't have that last delay, we would have had Turf Wars at this point. And so that is just added onto things as well. There's just that extra month and a bit away, and it still hasn't quite come out yet. And then I think just the overall lingering thing of what's happening with Avatar comics now has really, in a way, started to touch on the excitement for core comics. It's still there, but there is this kind of growing concern about the fact of have you cancelled Avatar comics to make core comics happen? Why have Team Guru left a month before Turf Wars is coming out? What's happening? So there's a lot of stuff like that makes just being in the fandom just oh, you look at the fandom and just the talk is about what's happening with Avatar comics. It's not about news. It's not about what's next for the stories necessarily. It's just, I hope the comics continue. I hope the only thing that we have that's giving us regular story are going to continue, which is a really bad position to be in, which once again leaves us in the position as Avatar fans of hoping that everything is solved at the Comic Cons. That at SCCC or NYCC we get the announcements that we're looking for. What's happening with Avatar Comics, and I suppose also, I doubt they'll do it, but the future of Core Comics, because Irene Co is only staying on for Turf Wars, and once we're at around Turf Wars Part 2, we'll be expecting the announcement of another Core comic, but there's going to need to be a new artist, and now we need 2 new artists for both sides of the thing. So it's just an overall like messy situation where there's not a lot of news. I've done so much discussion topics in the past, I've kind of run out of a lot of main topics to do without just repeating kind of old topics. I've obviously in the past done a lot of kind of top 10 stuff and so on, so it's just that point of like, what content am I doing on my channel necessarily? Of course, like I want it to be a huge part of my channel, but there's only so much I can kind of make happen without official stuff happening to like promote more discussion. In that, like, I love talking about the lore of Avatar and Korra and all this kind of stuff that not a lot of people talk about. But there's only so much of that presented within the show. There's only so much of that presented where I can talk about, where the video is not just complete speculation. There needs to be more content to develop that stuff to promote more discussion on it. So that's where I'm at with Avatar stuff. You'll continue to see pretty much as soon as possible like the same sort of content you expect of like, at the very least I will attempt to get a discussion topic video out every week. People seem to like when I do the more obscure discussions, when I do the mind map things and do the screen recording, so I'll be continuing to do that. Maybe not with every discussion. If it is a very simple topic, I might leave it out just because it doesn't need to be there when I'm only discussing like one thing, but it makes sense for it to be there when I'm discussing like, oh, well, here's all this space-related stuff in terms of Avatar and so on. So that's where I am with that. It's just I wish I could put out more content, but I don't want to also force content out. Because if I did, I probably could, if I really forced it, put out like 3-4 Avatar videos a week. But I'd be burning out of content in like just a few weeks. Because I'd do all these top 10 videos, then there's none of them left. Any discussion topics that I do have left to do, gone in a couple of weeks. And then I'm just in an even worse position after that, where like there's even less stuff to talk about. So it very much is reliant on news for that sort of stuff. Now, as for the other content on my channel, Turtles. The main problem with that has been, of course, the airing schedule. They had the first 4 episodes and it was cool. I was kind of getting back into it. Then they stopped it. They did their usual thing every time there is a season of Turtles, of just stopping at the worst possible moment, and it not just being a small break, it being a really, really long break where everyone forgets the show exists. And I am aware that I think that the next 2 episodes of the show are airing this weekend, and hopefully I'll remember that that's a thing so I can review them. But it is such a chore to follow this show. That has been my experience for probably the past 2-3 seasons. It is just such a chore because they just take these breaks, they never say really what's happening with the show, and then the quality of the show I don't think is all that high. It is the last season, so that's why I'm kind of sticking with it, but it's very much a case where unless the next show, the new Turtles, the 2D Turtles show looks amazing, that they're going to fix all the problems from this current show, and it actually be plot and character focused, I cannot see myself reviewing more Turtles. I just can't see myself doing it if it's just going to be more the same with a different art style. And that's just where I am at with that. So you'll get the end of Turtles, and I'll do probably, once this season is over, which will probably be in 2 years' time at the rate they're airing the episodes now, I will do a overall like TMNT 2012 Turtles wrap-up kind of review. Star Wars Rebels, and I suppose Star Wars content on my channel in general. I will continue to review Rebels. Again, last season, same again. And I think with Rebels, it's a similar situation to Turtles, but not as... I don't feel as negatively about Rebels as I do about Turtles. Not that I like dislike Rebels really in any way. I think it's a solid show, but it does have a lot of similar problems to Rebels with regards to not a ton of character arcs. The story isn't particularly like consistent with regards to how they present it in terms of like, here's 2 episodes that link together. That only happens in like finales basically. So I hope this season is better on that front. I hope they also, whenever they announce maybe some new animation show, that it is more in line, I think, with what a lot of fans want, and I suppose what I want. And then, regards to other stuff, like, why don't you review all these novels or comics and all this other Star Wars content that is out there? I have been very, very unimpressed with the current Star Wars expanded universe. I just feel it has not at all lived up to the old expanded universe. And it really just feels like they made a huge mistake basically making all the old expanded universe non-canon, because effectively what they've done is like, it is still all canon, they're just gonna change the details slightly, and it just feels really weird where like everything from the past is sort of still canon until they contradict it with something new. And then I think the biggest problem has been, one, surprisingly, there hasn't been like the consistency, I suppose the amount hasn't been as much as maybe I'd expect. And then just what they've chosen to focus on, I think, has been way too like specific on like original trilogy stuff, on very irrelevant stuff for the most part that relates to the new trilogy. I like the new trilogy, but I don't love the new trilogy just yet. I'm super excited for episode 8 to finally, I suppose, see Luke and what's actually happening here. But I'm missing a ton of world building from where the world is meant to be at this point in time. I think that's the biggest problem with The Force Awakens, is just so little context is given to what's actually happening in the world, and it's so, almost to a fault, but it's also some sort of positive in some ways, laser focused on just a couple of new characters. So I'm excited for episode 8, but I'm also like, wow, this current, I suppose, generation of Star Wars stuff and whatever they're doing with the expanded universe is not impressing me all that much. And that's why I haven't really been reviewing the books or the comics recently, because I just feel like they haven't really been doing anything to appeal to, I suppose, what I want, which, given that they've taken out all like the Clone Wars and prequel trilogy novels for the most part, it doesn't really feel like they're making any effort to actually fill that time period back in. So that's where I'm at with Star Wars, where I'll review the movies as they come out, of course. I'll review the TV shows when they come out, but unless they really switch things up and the quality improves, expanded universe stuff, I don't really have the willpower within me to continue to review it. Voltron. Again, because Voltron's a Netflix show, it tends to be just this kind of thing where like it hits and it's there and it's kind of done. So that's why I tend to pretty much do like what I think I'll probably continue with season 3 when it comes out in August. I'll probably do something very similar to what I did with season 2. That being basically watch it all pretty much the same day, but split my review into like 3 chunks where like I watched the first 4 episodes, it's one video. Like the middle 5 episodes, video. The last couple of episodes, video. Like 3-4 videos to just cover all of the whole season basically, and then we'll do podcast stuff for more in-depth analysis. I'll just pretty much do the same stuff as before with that. There are some additional books. They're really starting the merchandise push at this stage with Voltron. The only book that I'm really interested in from what they've announced is the kind of Paladin Handbook, which looks to be some sort of a data book, which could be interesting. There could be a lot of new information in there, so that's probably the one merchandise review thing I'll be doing for Voltron, as well as whenever the second series of comic books comes out. It was meant to be out like a couple of weeks ago, but I think they delayed it until like December without really telling anyone. So I'll review that when it comes out, but that's where I'm at with that. Steven Universe, I'll just review the episodes when they come out. That's just a kind of a series where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm reviewing this. It's good sometimes, it's not great sometimes. I'm going to stick with it until the end. Then just the general anime stuff I do on my channel. Probably Naruto has become one of the more regular things on my channel. I just finished the manga read-through, of course. I'm reviewing the Boruto manga when it comes out. That's probably one of my more popular kind of series of videos in terms of like views when they actually come out. I really enjoy reviewing those manga chapters when they come out. The quality of them could be a little bit better, but I'm enjoying it. The Boruto anime, I mean, has definitely impressed with its early few episodes. Hasn't blown away me just yet, but I'm enjoying watching that week to week. Tomorrow's episode review will be tomorrow, hopefully. And so yeah, I'll be reviewing pretty much all Naruto content that is coming out, Boruto, whatever. Hopefully they will announce more of the light novels translated into English, and I'll review them. But the focus right now is the Boruto content that is coming out. Sword Art Online is another thing I am covering. So I did the movie review a couple of months back. I'm reviewing again Alicization as the novels are released in English. And then whenever season 3 is announced, I will be reviewing that on my channel. We know it's confirmed, we just don't know when it's actually coming out. But Sword Art Online is definitely one of my favorite series, and so I will be reviewing that at some point. The new season, of course. So yeah, I'll be covering that stuff as well. Then I suppose it's just like, you know, I then occasionally do like videos for, you know, other things here and there, but you know, that depends on like, oh, I got this really cool action figure. Sure, I'll record a video of myself opening it and do a review of the figure. I probably will be getting the Naruto Nendoroid when it comes out. I might do a video on that. Depends really on when I get it and if I have the money at the time when it comes out. But little things like that I'll do a little bit more of. But yeah, that brings me to, I suppose, the final topic of this video, and that is, as I said earlier on, what video series do I do to fill in the gap? My initial thoughts immediately went to another anime that I really like, anime manga that I do like, and that is One Piece. So the question is really, what sort of One Piece content do you want me to do? Or is there, I suppose before I get into the whole what type of One Piece content do you want to see any other sort of series on my channel? And realistically, I probably won't be like just like, hey, review this show, like taking suggestions like that and immediately going through with them. This is more of like what content you do want to see. So One Piece is the one that initially springs to mind because one, it does it isn't a weekly manga that comes out. I do read the chapters. I'm caught up on One Piece, so I do read those chapters weekly. So immediately, do you guys want me to review One Piece, the manga as it comes out? And then I suppose for a longer running series, do you guys want to see me review One Piece in the same way that I reviewed Naruto? I recently have got a good amount of the manga, thanks to these box sets. So I have the first 2 of these, so I have like 50 volumes of One Piece that I haven't yet read. So, and I really haven't, apart from like the past maybe like 100 chapters, which I've kind of been caught up on. I primarily started with the anime. I haven't read any of One Piece, especially the really, really early stuff. So would you guys like to see me do a kind of longer running series like the Naruto one, where I do One Piece? Again, the weekly chapters, the new chapters as they come out. Do you want to see me review that? Or do you more want to see me kind of do a kind of series of videos where I just kind of talk about like my like opinion on certain things, like what are my favorite arcs, kind of be more general, not as long as like just reviewing each volume, just kind of go through who my favorite characters are, favorite arcs, favorite kind of open plot points or whatever. Let me know what type of kind of One Piece content you want to see me do, or any sort of other video series you want me to do. But and of course the other thing is, if there's anything that I do on my channel that I haven't mentioned, definitely ask questions in the comments below as well. But yeah, that has been the channel update for this month. So yeah, leave comments below about all the questions I've asked you guys. But yeah, thanks for watching this video, and bye.